right, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ann Mills. She was born in 1922. She started dancing at the age of 10 in 1932. She began going to dances with her brother in 1936. From the age of 18 to 22, she was considered one of the original gals of bals. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Ann Mills.
Hey, hey. This is pretty exciting, you guys. We've got some legends right here in the room. Ann and John Mills. This is very wonderful. And I have all kinds of questions to ask Ann. I'm going to get the ball rolling with those questions, but think about some questions that you might have for her as well, because I've got a microphone in my hand and you can ask her questions too. And the first thing that I think we're all really interested in hearing is when you started dancing, and what that was like. How old were you when you started dancing? Tell us a little bit about that.
I was 10 years old. Talking right into that.
All right.
I was 10 years old when I started dancing with my brother, who was 2.5 years older than me. We grew up in a very strict household, but for some reason or other, dancing was acceptable. And so we started in our own fashion, and as we went along, he became the champion bal dancer at Fremont High School. And there was a wonderful, wonderful little e-bal club right close to the high school. Tuesday nights we could go dancing for 15 cents. There was an upstairs and a downstairs, and my brother being the champion dancer of the high school, my folks let me go along with him. He was 16 and I was 14. Otherwise, I had to stay at home. But you know, when you have a big brother, Mama lets you go.
And what kind of dancing did your big brother teach you how to do? Were you dancing the Balboa at 15?
We were dancing something resembling Balboa, but it evolved eventually into Balboa. We're talking about 1937, 38, and 39. That's a long time ago. And we were dancing bal because how else could you dance to white heat for 10 or 15 minutes non-stop? You had to be doing bal.
So were you guys dancing to most of the very fast-tempoed music, or was there a mix?
Well, let me say this. I was 14 and a terrible wallflower. My brother was very, very popular. But when a song like White Heat came along, I was in the crowd because I was probably one of the few who could dance fast enough to dance to that music. And it's, I don't know, how many beats is that per second? Some weird
Close
number.
to 300. It's fast.
Oh, well, anyway, it was very fast, and I was very young, and so when you're very young, you're nimble, you know, your feet and legs move. And so I was very popular for one number every Tuesday.
Now, Ann, when we've spoken before, you talked about the 5 bal gals, and I've got a little list right here of who those gals were. You mentioned Dottie Dominguez,
Yes.
Natalie Esparza,
Yes.
Betty Stoy. Wait, no, those are the other ladies.
Those are the other
Where's my list? Where's my list? Joel, you've got the list.
Well, I can tell you who
Yeah,
they
you
are.
tell us.
All
You
right.
tell us.
We have
Those are
Madeline
the other
Green,
ladies.
who had a style of her own.
Say her name one more time,
Madeline Green. We had Marie Fido. There was Venna Archer, me, and Edie Czar. Now that was the original 5 bal gals. I'm talking about 1942 and 43, war years, World War II. We were the 5, and we danced mostly at the Palladium and clubs around Hollywood. And when the soldiers and the sailors came in for a weekend, we danced at the Hollywood Canteen.
Why did they call you the 5 bal gals?
Well, because we were the 5 who did it all and did it with everybody and did it fast and did it slow and did it medium. We were kind of a little clan.
Yeah, John's trying to say something. What kind of, when you think about the qualities that you had as dancers, what were some of the characteristics that you guys had?
Well, one was that the girls could follow any and everybody. They could adjust to every different style they danced with. That was very unusual, and no matter what the fellows did, they could adjust, and it didn't look bad at all. In fact, it looked pretty good.
What about some of those leaders that you danced with? Who were the 5 Bal Gals, or in your opinion, who were your favorite leaders to dance with, and why were they your favorite leaders?
Well, there was one fellow named Bill Alcorn. He became a movie producer under the name of Bill Andrew. He was a tap dancer, he was a swing dancer, he was a bell dancer, he was an all-around dancer. Oh yes, and shim. What you see as shim sham now can't begin to compare with what he used to do. But then there was, my favorite of all time was Harry Berlin, who it seems to be lost. Nobody seems to notice. He was inventive. He taught at private clubs. You know, he was a guest, but people would ask him to come up and teach or to show anyone, and he was very willing. Harry Berlin was one of the easiest persons I ever danced with. However, a lot of the women complained that he was too soft to lead. Well, I didn't find it that way. He was my favorite until John learned to do bell. and really, we had danced, we did exhibitions at Pips every Wednesday night for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was a private club in Beverly Hills. And one day, I heard my name announced that I was going to do an exhibition. And I looked around and I thought, no, they got the wrong person, not me. I don't do exhibitions. But anyway, I got up and it was Harry Berlin. So we were a regular on Wednesday nights. And about 6 weeks went by, and one day John said, I want to learn to do that. Here was this finished dancer wanting to learn to do bell. Well, it took him about an hour to learn the basic, and in 2 weeks he had his own style, and so then he became my favorite bell dancer. But outside of that, I danced with all of them. There are some obscure people that no one seems to remember. There was Sailor Bob, who danced a running style of bell, circling around the room, and he would go so fast that the follow was airborne. You know, your feet left, seriously, your feet left the floor. It was very strong, and danced away, and then all of a sudden you were airborne. And then it stopped, reverse direction. Now, people don't think of him. We don't see film of him, but it was fun to dance with. He had a little partner he danced with constantly. Then she would get tired. She wore out. So guess who got to step in? He was fantastic to dance with. Then there was Ed Thompson had a peculiar style of his own. It was a very tiny-footed step, and he had little breaks. He had a little running step. I watch people dance now, young people that have learned from the videos and such, and I can pick out the styles. That's Ed Thompson. That's Maxie Dorf. That's Sailor Bob. No, nobody does Sailor Bob. and it goes on that way. It's dance world is just wonderful.
What do you have to say about the style for the ladies?
Oh, phooey. now, gentlemen, don't be offended, but it's kind of tiring that the men go out there and do all their fancy stuff, and then women are supposed to stand there like a little log, you know, and just, you know, don't draw attention, don't do anything. Phooey, don't pay any attention to that, girls. When you get out there, you do bell the way you feel. If the music pushes your feet, push your feet, kick, turn sideways, stand away, do anything you feel like doing, but don't just stand there like a stick.
Amen. What do you think, Ann, if we were, because, you know, a lot of us, we watch the old clips. We watch the clips of dancing, and most of those took place at Bobby McGee's, which was a little bit later. But we see some of the leaders have really clear signature moves. Are there things that you used to do in your dancing that you think this is signature Ann Mills?
The first thing I think is in doing bell, we're taught this little 4-beat step. You know, 4-beat forward, 1, 2, 3, kick 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, kick. No, 1, 2, 3, kick, or 1, 2, kick 4. I always felt that it was kind of dead looking, so my feeling was, if I'm going to kick, I'm going to kick. So instead of this little mild little touch, I kick, and I kick pretty hard, pretty far back. Also, I kick forward. If the mood strikes, if it's a slow bell, you kick forward and back, and I kick high. And when I kick, I always cross my feet behind myself. I don't kick straight back. I kick at an angle. I think it kind of looks a little more interesting if you do that, girls.